right, calling to order the regular meeting of the Gilliam County Court. This is April 16th, 2025, and we're in Arlington. We had a few technical difficulties, so we had to improvise. So the meeting's been called to order. A quorum's been established, and we will now hold the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. All right, do we have any correspondence? It looks like the Port of Arlington, Jed is here and he's signing in, maybe? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I will just have you go first. Thank you. Jed Crowder, Port of Arlington.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Mine is really brief. Just want to invite you to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Alkali Ridge subdivision on Monday, May 19th
Okay.
at 5 p.m. on site at the entrance. And that's all I have.
Good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
All right. Is there any other public comment? And is there any online comment?
I do not see
Okay.
any.
All right, we will go into correspondence. We have in your packets and online, a operational grant final report for Envision EyeCare for all. Also, final report for South Gilliam County Health District. A special projects final report for South Gilliam County Health District. Special projects grant North Gilliam County Health District. So those are all in your packets. Now we'll go into Paul Wilson quarterly report from Waste Management. We have an in-person report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have the first quarter for 2025 for Columbia Ridge Landfill quarterly report. Should have these. All right, volumes for March were 179,441 tons. So far for 2025 first quarter, total tons are 566,644 tons. Host fees paid to Gilliam County in March, 424,466, and host fees paid so far for quarter to date 2025 is 1.2 million. As far as site updates go, we have had 4 OSHA recordables so far this year. 2 of those were in fleet, 2 in operations. Construction projects going on right now. The RNG plant construction is progressing. The plan is to start up in 4th quarter. So they're working hard to get it finished. So Cell 17 construction continues. Selling construction is out, moving. That can move about 1.2 million yards of soil. That won't complete it. We will have to have another outfit come in and move another million. So hopefully that gets all done. That is all completed by the end of the year. So and the RNG pipeline is progressing. Information I have is that they're still working on some easement agreements from landowners, but that is looking to be started sometime 3rd quarter. I don't have any numbers for Chem Waste, but I do have a couple of things for them. They did start receiving those glass cylinders from Hanford, and also the effluent water from Hanford, and that's about a 750,000 gallon project. It's all there's no nuclear stuff in it. Nothing was touched by anything before. So it's just stuff that they have around that they can't dispose of. The water has a high chrome level. So they put it in the settlement ponds and let it settle out and evaporate and then remove that and then send it into the landfill and treat it and move it that way. So that has started to come in pretty steady. Overall, tons are down, for us, and as well as Chem Waste. MSW tons have come up slightly, but CDL, special waste and soil tons are all down so far this year over year. So,
Do you know what that difference, I mean, we can look it up on our end, but just curious, you probably don't have the numbers.
we don't have the exact
Compared to where we were.
percentages. Yeah, but, we had CDL was down around 30%. So, but MSW has some. So, we are still adding some positions, but currently kind of holding off on filling some others due to the lower tonnages. We no longer have, our environmental manager has changed. I have listed in your paperwork Jim Denson, who's the area director of EP.
Yeah.
So we're currently looking for a new EP manager. So I've changed those contacts and paperwork that you have so that it's in if you have any questions as far as that goes.
Okay.
Other than that, if you have any questions.
Any questions?
No, I'd say it's already mid-April, but I'd like to get together with you and Alan and tour and just have a little visit with Alan where we're at with the projects. Cedar Springs and
He's on vacation till mid next week, so after that.
yeah, I just it's been a while since I've touched base with him. Don't want to bug you unless I got something really to say, so. But yeah, I'd like to see something, I'll reach out to him.
That's great.
Yeah.
We did start the CUP renewal conversation and have sent a red line copy to the judge for review, and then so we're working through that process. So that process has started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else for me?
Hold on just a second.
You say tonnage is down?
Yes.
Is that because of, is that through trucks or is that through trains?
Metro tonnage has increased slightly, but the Seattle tonnage overall is down.
Do you have any thoughts on why? Just curious.
So there's been some talk of the tariffs.
Oh, the
In the
tariffs.
beginning, there was some stuff going back between Canada, some because we did receive a lot of waste from Canada.
Oh, really?
So there was some conversation that might have something to do with it here just in the beginning. We don't have a lot of soil projects going on right now, either going into the Duwamish reload facility. So we have one project that was 15,000 tons that just started last week, but before that, there was really nothing going in there, and there's nothing on the books after that for a few months. So, but we have a lot set up. There's a lot of jobs that are supposed to take off towards third and fourth quarters as far as soil tons. CDL, one of the companies we were receiving it from, has actually started sending it somewhere else. And so we're working through that process. So their tons are down about 30% from that one company. They have their own landfill. So we're working through kind of what that means and, looking for other volumes as well. But there is some things going on in the valley that we may start receiving more tonnage from Forest Grove, Newburgh, which we were receiving last year, but they started taking it somewhere else. But the tonnages are changing, so we may receive some of that as well. So we're optimistic that the tonnages will go back. It certainly helps us, of course, but and it helps me replace some of the folks that I've lost in my hiring, which helps me too. So
Okay, hopefully it's just a temporary
hopefully, yes, we're of course,
situation.
wanting it to increase or go back to what's regular level for this time of year.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking that question.
I was definitely curious about the amount of trains that are going through versus the next.
Right.
Yeah.
The one item I didn't cover was 2.0 additions or revisions to the agenda. Do we have any? Okay. So consider the audit.
Yeah, we received our final FY24 financial statement. Must have been, I think, Thursday evening. It's been accepted with the audit division. It's posted online. I just sent you guys an email. Kim was out yesterday, but she got it online this morning when she came in. So you guys should have an email when you get back in there to be able to access that. We'll get our printed documents soon if you guys want a hard copy, and we're done.
Wow.
And our interim is scheduled for the end of
Yes.
June. So we're right back in it.
Good. Good.
It should be
It was-
not as painful this time.
Yes. That's true. It shouldn't be as painful. A lot of systems will be in place.
Re-extensions
Experience.
and
Yeah, yeah, it'll be a lot better next time. So thank you for all your hard work.
Yes.
Thank you for getting us through it.
everybody. Yep,
So,
it's a
yep.
team effort.
Mhm.
Glad it's over.
I think you were the right person for the job. Experience. She's not a quitter. Okay. Okay, update on Grain Lab building. I just wanted to update you where we are with this project. So first of all, legal counsel has verified, so we're talking about the building itself. Legal counsel has verified that the only two federal strings are that after we're released from the agreement with the federal government, which will be in June of 25, that no use for religious purposes and no use for discriminatory purposes are two federal regulations that will remain. When these things came up and we found out there's still a few strings, which they're absolutely, we understand those strings, which I think we would be complying with that anyway. It made me wonder if there was more. Are there more things that we may have requirements for? And legal counsel said, no, those should be the only two. And the other two. There's a few other things that we're going to have to make sure EDA has in as far as the release of covenant has to include those two conditions. And legal counsel basically just said EDA will propose something in their release after their legal counsel goes through it. So we've gone through all of our due diligence of the documentation that we need to be released. Now that is with EDA and they're going through their attorneys right now. So that's where we're at. And we're doing updates to make sure it doesn't get dropped, to make sure that like every few weeks that we're double checking to see where they're at and where they are with the process, just because about with the federal government too, and what's going on, we want to make sure that we have the same people we're dealing with. We do have Senator Merkley's office who will help us if we get stuck, but we haven't been yet. I think it's just, we've done all we can on the building itself and we're just waiting. So then we get to the equipment. So the equipment is Gilliam County's equipment, and there's a few items that are reports. So I was going to come talk to you after the meeting, Jed, and tell you, I have pictures. When Ardent Mills was interested in the building, they took a bunch of equipment, pictures of the equipment. So we have these photographs, and our treasurer, who was the manager of the grain lab previously, found an inventory list. So we have an inventory list, and he and I sat down together. So we took the photographs and cross-referenced them to the photos. So we have the original purchase price. We're going to have to value all this stuff, and there's all kinds of equipment. It may not, I mean, this is equipment that's old. This is equipment that's 20 years old, but there's one piece of equipment that was $45,000 when it was originally purchased. An alveograph. So what we need to do now is we need to value this. So we're going to do some research to get this valued. And would you like to explain what you can do with the surplus website? It could be posted on public surplus. Once we have the picture, we have the description, we just need to figure out where we're going to value it at, and then try to, we don't know if some of that stuff even holds any value, because it's like tech equipment, everything gets better and over time. But there's one thing, there's a convection oven, there's a sheeter that might be a restaurant quality for like dough for rolls. So that's something that may be of value. But this is just the lab equipment. Then we're going to have everything else that might be in the building that we just have to figure out what to do with. I'm thinking, the conference table should stay, the desk should stay, and leave it up to whoever wants to rent it if they want to keep that or not. So
some of this equipment, if put it out there,
Mhm.
I mean, 30 days or,
Yeah, length of time,
and then after that, I mean, it's like, do we just give it to Paul?
yeah,
You can set the parameters around it.
right. I think
It'd just be up to what you guys decide.
we should, and I don't know if the port has any outreach, that once we put it on the site, if there's any outreach that we could do to just have people look at that if they're interested, what's there. We'll do ours. We'll do it. We're gonna probably do a newspaper ads, social media, website, to make sure it's out there. I don't know what else we can do to make sure we're trying not just to try to see if we can get rid of it. The other outreach we're gonna do is, Washington State University, and some of the universities, see if they'd be interested to do any testing. So,
Why do you have to value?
oh,
Is there a tool you have to,
no, well, no,
if you want to get rid of it?
right.
$1, start the bid.
It's just whether or not you put a minimum bid, right?
Yeah, do we put a minimum bid or not? Like the sheeter is. And I don't think we need, get super caught up in the details now, but. what is that? I don't know if I'm gonna find it right now. It's like, we should put something on some of the 40,
You don't get rid of the.
yeah, the $45,000 item and the big ticket items. We should at least find out what the value is, I think. So that we're, maybe we don't need to value it if we're trying to, all of it. Yeah, just a minimum bid. Minimum bid is what we're really looking at.
Could be,
So.
it's an antique.
Well, I mean, well, like I say, I mean, being in the auction business,
Mhm.
for, I mean, if you put a value on it and you don't get that, then what do you do with it?
Right,
You know?
Yeah.
So it's gonna have a value when it sells.
okay.
You
You're enlisted to help us with this project now. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so that's the update on where we're at with that.
Just need the help with the tonnage. Where's that?
Yeah. Okay. So that's,
So if it doesn't sell, we just haul it to the dump or it's scrap.
yeah,
Is it like aluminum scrap?
well, there's all kinds of stuff. I can show you the pictures if you want to take a look. Yeah,
So
there's one
I didn't know
great
if it had
big
any
item.
value as
Yeah.
scrap.
I was told was actually the building was constructed around it possibly, so I don't know what that one. There's double doors in the room. Let's see, just a moment. I just don't want to get this separated.
Isn't there a site or isn't there something too that you can list stuff on the state of Oregon's site that says here's stuff available at a different time? And stop there's something else like that too.
Some of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jen has some.
Just a clarification question. So recently Ardent Mills exercised an option. Was that on other portions of that site?
they're not, okay, so last year Ardent Mills had some interest in renting the building. They don't have any interest in renting the building now. They're also not interested in the equipment. So, yeah. But, so we have the grain lab and then we have the Ardent Mills building. So,
Okay,
does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay,
Julie's probably seen that up there at the grain growers. That's,
so Ardent Mills building, their lease on their building that they, there was equipment also with that lease, but that's separate from this.
And they exercised the option to acquire that building.
They exercised the option to, which was part of the lease to, purchase the equipment,
Okay,
which they had been paying for over the way the lease was written, they'd been paying for the equipment in addition to their lease payment on the building. And it was written into the lease that, if they could have either purchased the remainder of the equipment at any point in time or wait till the 20 years was up and then we would present a bill of sale as long as there was proof that they had made payments for all that equipment. Lease, option to purchase.
Okay. And the grain lab is a separate item. Do you have potential tenants you're considering?
We can't do anything until we get the release of covenant. So as soon as we get that, we try to do all the legwork up until, and then we can start with our advertising. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And then I think there'll be probably a few repairs on the building just from it being vacant. There are more pictures too, if you look at those, but they're black and white. Okay. Do you have any thoughts on that? Anything different than the direction we're going? Because I fire away.
Yeah, I still, now that it's might be northwestern
Yeah.
grain growers, that maybe they might be interested in a central office. Cause I don't know that they're going to, and they may not have an office down in this area at all, but
We can
you would think,
contact.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're still going through that process, so with Mid-Columbia producers.
Is it too soon to talk to them, or do you think?
I think it would be probably, might be a good idea.
So can you get us a contact? Do you
Yeah.
have any?
Yeah, I'll find out if Wally knows.
Okay.
Cause he went to that meeting down there,
Good,
so.
good. Let's do that. Makes sense.
Yeah, cause there is equipment in those pictures that, is sitting in our elevator shacks.
Well, and so the equipment in addition to the building too, both
Yeah.
of the things going on right now. They might
They
be.
have a merger vote coming up. Is that?
So it's from what Wally said at our budget meeting the other day is that they have to, the members of Mid-Columbia producers have to vote, and they have to have at least 200 people vote, and 2/3 of those have to vote for it. So I think they're going around trying to make sure they can ensure they have enough votes to even vote, and then that they vote for it, so. But they're in talks with is it North? I'm not sure if it's Northwestern grain growers, or I think they're based out of, well, yeah, somewhere like that.
I heard they needed 250, and so I asked how many members they had.
They have 800 is what Wally said. And then he said they needed, 25% of those, so.
Okay. We'll get that contact and then do some outreach.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll see what I can find out about who.
All right, consent agenda. The consent agenda, we have minutes from April 2nd. We have an amendment, number 15, to the Oregon Health Authority Agreement for Financing Public Health. We have an IGA with the City of Arlington for law enforcement services. We have consider approval of Department of Emergency Management Infrastructure contract for FEMA reimbursement. We have people in the audience who have their names next to these items that may speak if anyone would like them to. Do you have any questions regarding the consent agenda or comment?
So the only comment I have is on the regular meeting minutes for April 2nd. On the, let's figure out which. On 3.3, the update for the public health. It says that on the one paragraph, the state will be reviewing the clinic starting this summer. It's actually the state will be reviewing the public health
Yes.
programs.
Yes, yes, yes.
So it kind of,
We need to correct that. Okay,
that's it.
you got that note made. Okay, good.
So I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the April 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes being amended.
I will second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Unfinished business. Consider approval of contract with Anderson Perry and Associates for Cedar Springs Road relocation. We do not have I want to apologize to anybody out there watching right now. We don't have the owl to point to those speaking. So I'm just going to make sure that they identify
I can
themselves.
move it. I just want to make sure that nobody chats.
Oh,
So I'll just have to, if you
there
chat,
you
just
go.
hold on a second.
Mhm.
Julie Jaeger. Okay, this is a contract that Anderson Perry and our legal counsel, the local law group, came up with. Both parties are happy. Anderson Perry has signed it, and this one moving on to the next step.
Mhm. Okay. So it's gone through legal counsel. And our legal counsel, it went back and forth a few times, correct?
Yeah. about
So
three.
to refine it.
Yep.
And so. Gilliam County's. Then we've looked after Gilliam County in the agreement and Anderson Perry is satisfied with it. So any questions about it or discussion?
No, I just would, looks a little thicker, but like I say, they're happy with it too, and they weren't offended or.
Is there supposed to be anyone online to
They
talk
were
about
supposed
it?
to be here, but I don't know if Andy,
There's a Jim in. Other than that, I recognize them all.
Okay.
You're good with it, Dewey?
They're actually working already.
Are you supposed to say that?
Well, they're not getting paid yet.
Okay,
But they were quite a bit less than we estimated
Yeah.
to begin with, which was a good thing.
Yeah, 50%, over 50%.
Yeah.
about 300,000.
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, any other thoughts and questions? This is a big one.
Nope.
Okay. So there's a suggested motion and it's right after the contract.
I
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
apologize.
I move to approve the contract between Gilliam County and Anderson Perry and Associates to provide engineering services on Cedar Springs Lane relocation project and to authorize the county judge to execute the agreement.
And I will second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? None? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Commence with work. That's good. All right.
Oh. I'm not in.
Okay, new business, 6.1, consider approval of bid for update of Gilliam County's emergency operations plan, and this is Chris Fitzsimmons.
I think Anya sent you guys, the two bids that came in. And, so 3 bids were sent out. Or I should say, bids were sent out. Requests for quotes were sent out to 3 vendors. Fairwinds Consulting, Stantec, and COIC, which I can never remember what their community development.
Community and economic development.
Yeah, whatever they are.
We have those.
They didn't send me anything back, so. I got 2 bids back and we got the one from Fairwinds for 30,000 and the one from Stantec for 5. So my recommendation is to take the one from Fairwinds for 30,000. But as you all know, we have really no idea for sure where the grant situation is from FEMA. But my recommendation is also to move forward business as usual. I have to continue to report to OEM like business as usual, which I just did report last week. my quarterly report. So I did get the grant for this project of the $26,412 to go towards the 30,000 if we approve the contract with Corey. So the other 3,500 would come from the county general fund, which I think we had that conversation way back when. So anyhow, not guaranteeing when the money will get reimbursed down the road from FEMA, not knowing what's happening with this world. Just don't know. Yeah, it's an unknown at this time, but the Gilliam County Emergency Operations Plan really needs to get updated. It's been updated on the call with the resource list, but the whole plan itself hasn't been done since 2011, which was done by the Stantec vendor back when the state paid for it back in 2011. So
So how often do we, I mean, that's 15 years.
yeah, so what happens is about every 2 years, we look at the call out and the resource list, which is what the state likes to require through the EMPG, which is something that we're not part of anymore. And the plan itself, so our plan right now is about 450 pages long, which is what, way too much. And so the new plan, and Corey and I have talked about this, is we're wanting to go down to about 150-page plan that is more realistic and is more of a checklist. That is something that is feasible and workable for somebody to actually look at and say, okay, this is what needs to be done. I
have to read through that.
Yeah, and not a bunch of what I call hocus pocus that you don't even know what's going on. A lot of this is what I need to do. I need to call the county judge. I need to call this person. I need to do this. I need to do that. More clear steps of what you need to do instead of,
So once you revise that plan, do you have to send it off to the state to have it?
We don't know. That's a good thing about it. It doesn't have to be approved by the state or FEMA. It's a Gilliam County plan.
Okay.
It doesn't have any, there are some mandates, like it has to follow the CFG 401. That is the rules of the emergency management, federal government rules type thing, but there is no, it's not like the natural hazard mitigation plan that has to be approved by FEMA. Yeah, it only has to be approved by the Gilliam County Court, signed out by the Gilliam County Court. Gilliam County owns it. And the state doesn't have to, I mean, the state will get a copy, but they don't have to sign off on it, and FEMA doesn't have to sign off on it.
You don't have to do what they want you to do.
But the city of Condon, city of Lone Rock, and city of Arlington will be involved because they all, we have joint resolutions in our existing plan because Gilliam County pretty much does their emergency management for them. And it's been that way since I came on in 1994. And so we will include the three cities in our plan, just like we've done for years.
Good.
Yeah. So they will be all involved, just like we did with the NHMP. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that she included that in the bid, just because I'm pretty sure I put that in the RFP. So, yeah, and the grants is a 2-year period, and I think I put down that we would look at it being completed by July 1st of 2026. And she has estimated completion time 12 months from the date of the contract signature, so.
I think it's good that it's going to be a more usable document.
Yeah, well, I saw one from Sonoma County, California, that was like a magazine. And I was like, yeah, this is what we need.
Yeah.
But not really a magazine because the cost of printing a magazine style, but we'll get it down there.
Yeah.
And clear protocols. You don't need to be wondering who's does what when the emergency's happening. That's the worst time. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
and
too
who
much-
has time to read through a 450-page document?
They have all these annexes and all these appendixes and all of this and all the disasters listed and stuff like that. Well, you pretty much are gonna have to do the same thing for no matter what this type of disaster it is. You still have to, yeah, whether it's a wildfire or flood or whatever, you're still doing the same stuff, so. Yeah, and Corey's really good. Well, she came from the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard likes to use checklists. They like to use forms, so she's all about forms.
And I like that she's local, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're spending our money locally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you need a motion?
I'll move to approve the bid received from Fairwinds Consulting LLC. An amount of $30,000 for update of the Gilliam County's emergency operation plan as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bid received from Fairwinds Consulting, in the amount of $30,000 for updated Gilliam County's emergency operation plan as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
So she must send us a contract then,
Mhm.
right? Okay. Let her know.
Mhm. Okay. Right. Moving right along. Okay, 6.2, consider approval of lease agreement with Ardent Mills. Okay, so this is, as we talked about in the prior meeting, this agreement is presented to you after review of legal counsel, and it is a 5% increase in the previous agreement. So it could be a 20-year agreement, but it is renewed annually.
So they're wanting annually too, or,
They proposed it.
okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be just kind of like a rolling lease.
Yes.
So as long as everybody's agreeable, then that just rolls on the same
Right.
terms.
Right, but we wouldn't be bound to 20 years and neither would they. So
We just have to renew it each year,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Did they do all the work out there that they were planning on doing? Did they get that done? That whole loading dock on the one side where they?
Yes, I don't know if they're completely done with it, but we did our part to get it paid so they could do their part.
Okay,
So, and they were doing that themselves. Not at our expense.
yeah,
So that they could have another bay.
on that one
Uh-huh.
backside.
Yeah. Wanted to look at one thing to point out. Just a moment. Okay. All right, I don't have anything to add. Do you have any questions about it?
I
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
I think I read this one, and the monthly amount is just good to have on the public record though.
The monthly amount for the lease is $21,840 per month. It's a big building. It's got a lot of moving parts in it. And we're responsible for, because we own it, and the ground underneath it. Anything that we need to repair, so it's a lot of money, but it's what it's worth. So we built in a 5% increase to consider the fact that they had a prior agreement and we're at today's rate, so. But we also want to keep a a business is contributing to the economy of Gilliam County going to. So that's why we love
So-
that now.
Having it for 20 years, that locks them into that price for 20 years. at least.
We can renegotiate. So.
Make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the lease agreement with Ardent Mills as presented.
The only question I had was, do we want to state
Okay, yeah.
one
add the
year,
amount.
21,840?
But you said it could be negotiated, so I think we should leave it out.
Okay,
if it.
we
if it-
did put
if
on
it
the
can-
record the amount.
If it can be that
At
for
the current
20
rate.
years of this lease,
Mhm.
then we could do that, but I think we probably. Right. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Second motion.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the lease agreement with Ardent Mills as presented. Is there any discussion? The only discussion I would like to add is that the current rate of the rent is the amount that I listed, and that is $21,840 per month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, wow. We actually got through it very fast.
So, Chris, does, Anya have it on her radar for the renewal of the, public health with South
Yes.
Gilliam Health
Yes.
District?
We have, is she on?
She is on,
Okay.
but she got a whole spreadsheet,
We-
color coded. She's on it. She's already sent out her notices. It's,
So we have a whole bunch of leases that are gonna expire June
Okay.
30th, and one of the first things she did when she came, I should let her tell it, because really she did this all herself, is, back in June, leases were just expiring, just like popping up, and it was, I thought we've got to find a better way, although there may have been a way, I just didn't know where it was. So she created a spreadsheet and has color coded when it starts to get close, the colors change to red. And so the June ones are all red, but she's made all the contacts. So all of the ones that'll come up at the end of the fiscal year, including that one, because when it came up at the budget committee meeting, Brooklyn looked right there to make sure that it was on there. And it was.
Okay.
So, yeah.
She's the one that found the law enforcement contract with Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I think that I think the state requires that too,
Mhm.
or it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
all I
that we
wanted.
have an agreement with South Gilliam Health District for the public health services.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so what do we have for the commissioners' reports?
Well, Norcore meeting tomorrow and budget meeting. Hopefully we can do that.
I'm gonna be stuck in a truck tomorrow, so I don't think I'll be able to make a call.
Yeah,
But I did, one time I had to cover for Pat and I just called on the phone and talked on the audio for the Norcore.
Yeah.
Cause they had to have, they didn't have enough for a quorum.
yeah. So, and then, because, county college. That's all I have the rest of this
We leave tomorrow.
month, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, like. Feel bad going to. County college.
we're getting, it's,
It's-
Well, the
down.
one thing about it was I had cell service most of the way, so if you have hands free, just, cause basically they just need the vote, but it's, the public probably should let them know that we're looking at 10% increase in the. That we found out
Yes.
at the budget committee.
that's true with Norcore. Yeah, we budgeted. We spoke to them and budgeted 5%. You sent me that information on their budget. But then they made a request for 10. So yes, the public should know that. We made it clear in our budget committee meeting.
So, does Wasco County usually come back and honor what they're asked to pay? Do you know, or do
They
they?
always have.
Okay,
Hood River, I mean, both Hood River and Wasco County have gone through some tough times. Hood River, passed a safety levy. Wasco County, I don't know, but so far, everybody's, always paid what their percentage.
yeah, because I know when it was North Central Public Health that Wasco County didn't always agree to the amount that was the North Central Public Health budgeted, so would cause them to have shortfall with the Wasco County. So Wasco County used to be like, no, we're not paying that much. And North Central Public Health had already done their budget, so
Yeah.
that's why I asked.
So the last few years, I mean, not that they really what they paid percentage they're required to, or that they agreed to, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, anything else?
I know.
And over the Green Lab. Since the budget committee, discussed the childcare early learning subject, what do you think about Gilliam County putting out a childcare needs survey? Countywide. That would help us once we decide about that line item, besides the early learning centers, the two that we have, if there's any needs we want to meet as well or identify. Haley Andrews sent me a survey that she thought would be a good survey to use for that. Not for this purpose, but earlier on, she just said, you've talked about a survey. Here's one that's an idea. It's nothing we have to do right now. It's nothing we have to decide right now, but you can just mull it over and think about it. And maybe at the next meeting, we can talk about if we want to do that.
Is that line item, is it gonna help, home-based care too, that steps in and fills some of the gaps?
That's the question.
Especially with the after-school kids.
Right.
That's what I think about more than.
Because if we are guessing at what's needed, it's going to be hard for us to make choices on how to help. And there may be problems we think are a problem, and then when we get the surveys back, people are covered in certain areas. And I think if we do it, we probably need to do it annually because needs change. How many kids are there even in? Are there babies going to be born in the upcoming year? Those types of things. Thoughts? Okay, so think about that one.
Well, I don't personally, I don't think it would hurt to
Okay.
do a survey. No,
Okay.
I don't know how many people fill them out.
Yeah.
I actually went in and did the public health one, but
I
it's
did
like-
too.
It took a long
Yeah,
time. I
it
was
did.
like, oh, another page?
Yeah. There were a lot of questions.
So I think if we can keep it,
Well, I think what we should do, how about if we do a draft and then bring it back to you and not make any decisions on it until you've looked at it?
Okay.
And how's that?
yeah, because I think that the public health one I went through, I was like, at a certain point, I was like, oh, okay, is this gonna be over? And I mean, I personally got tired of taking it, and I thought, since I was over the head of the public health, that I probably should do it, just so I knew what it was about.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't done it.
Okay.
Oh, Haley's on there. Can you?
I tried to send a message. I wasn't sure if it was being seen. Sarah and I are actually currently working on one of those monkey survey things, and I was wondering if maybe we could collaborate.
Is it the same survey you gave the county?
No, we're gonna make one a little more unique to our area, and we wanted to know not just for 0 to 5, but through maybe third or fourth grade, what the needs of the community are. But then also we were going to ask the question, like, how much would you be able to pay, Or would you use the service if you had to pay, or would you want it to be subsidized, or would you only be able to utilize it if it was subsidized? Those kinds of questions. Because what we find is that after children leave our infant toddler room and move to preschool age, they're given an opportunity for care between 3:30 and 5 for a 200 or so per month, and many people opt out, even with just that cost.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it would hurt to have you take a look at what we come up with, because we'll be, just to make sure that this has got to cover Arlington, it's got to cover, your survey will be just for your center, right?
Well, our community, like what are the needs in the community period for these ages? So I guess what we could do is just maybe bring back the results to you if you'd like.
Sure, and then we can compare what we have, once we get ours too, to see if, they align. So, okay, that sounds good. I think we can work together.
Sounds good.
All right, okay, legislature. So I'm trying to navigate how to handle when these things pop out legislatively, how to make sure you're comfortable. And I'm just doing it right now because they're popping all over the place right now, because it's just the bills that are in the hopper. There's nothing new coming along. That's where we are in the session. So the easy
Because
one.
the cutoff was the other day, right? Okay.
Yeah, about within the last week. So this is a pretty easy one. I'm sure you support this. This is law libraries. This is just a letter supporting law libraries, continued funding, and that came through the county clerks. And that just is because it provides access to legal references for people who are trying to navigate the law on their own or without having to spend a lot of money with an attorney, so that they can look up things such as related to divorces, expungements, conservatorships, custody issues, those sorts of things, so they can have access to law reference books. So are you comfortable with that one?
No, but the law library, is it electronic, or do they have to constantly buy the new law?
The DA has, budget, but
And when you were justice of the peace, weren't you getting new ones too?
Yes, this is a letter, so this might answer the question. Yes. This is why it is so important that counties provide law library services like access to legal databases. So databases are available,
So that
and
would be
that's what the
electronic.
computer is, that's available in the county clerk's office too. So
Okay.
That's my understanding. So they want 11.5 million statewide for this. So,
Wow.
yeah. You support it?
most of all that is.
How
If
much,
you're uncomfortable with it, we don't
how
have
much
to do
does it cost for our county?
It doesn't cost anything.
They get a certain percent back from the state, and then that just goes into the law library fund, which is just under $50,000, I think, right now.
Mhm. That's right.
That's what they use to
Yeah,
buy
I
that.
didn't bring a budget with me to see. Ellen, maybe Ellen could talk to us about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's Haley's hand still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have an opinion either way, so
Well, if you're not
However you
comfortable
wanna-
with it,
it doesn't matter. I'm
Okay.
like,
fine.
so.
Well,
if you
I'll
think it's
study it.
important, go ahead.
Sure.
Hi, this is Ellen,
Oh,
Gilliam
yes.
County Clerk.
Mhm.
Yes, we get a small amount. I order books for the law library. Because we're a very small county, all our library consists of a bookcase in the hallway going to the circuit court office. And normally what I order is just the Oregon statutes volume and some criminal books. But that bill is really for larger counties that have spent a lot of money on their law libraries.
So really, there's not a big impact on our county. if we have $50,000 in the line item now for Gilliam County alone, unless we would have a strong reason to advocate for other counties, we probably need to not take a position on it. Okay, that answers that. Thank you. I will let you know the two bills that I did speak for and wrote a letter for was local rural DMV testing in our rural DMV offices to bring that back. So I don't know where that's at. That was sponsored, well, it was proposed by Commissioner Collier from LaLaughter County. So anyway, don't know how it'll go. And then the other one was the fair funding. And the other one that I wrote was about the fire maps, which appear to be appealed. Yeah, or will be. I did hear something about that, and you probably read it in the newspaper, and I did ask the person if it was true. And so Dave Davidson, is it Dave? Jody's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave Davidson has a house up here this way on Highway 19, and his insurance was dropped and attributed to the mapping. It's hard to unring the bell after they've come out. What is the fallout going to be? And now his home is worth well over $1 million. He can only insure it for $700,000. That's all that he can find insurance for. So that's a true story, a local story.
But his insurance company, if you read that, is still telling him that it's not because of the fire mapping though. And that's what the insurance companies are still saying. It's not because of those insurance mappings. Whatever.
Yeah.
They only need a little excuse.
Yeah. So, that's that. And the last thing I wanted to cover is House Bill 2725. This involves ports. This involves SIP agreements. When we approached the port, we had to have the Port of Arlington bless the SIP agreement we did on the Leaning Juniper 2 be repowered. It's a good agreement for everyone. SIP agreements now include the port's blessing. If there's a port district within the boundaries of the project. So the upcoming large project will involve the city, the port, and the county. The way the law is currently written. There's some adjustments to, let me get that, the original bill. And it was adjusted, it was proposed that House Bill 2725 define or refine the definition of ports. And the original introduced bill said it defined an affected port. So the way the bill was previously, all ports, if you had a port in your project and it was a SIP agreement, they were involved. So I think, well, I'm not going to say why because I don't know 100% why, but they're defining ports. So the first definition that came out said if a port owns 4 or more industrial parks, they're a party to the agreement. That quickly changed last Friday with Amendment -2 that states a port district that is located east of the westernmost dam on the Columbia River. That is Cascade Lux. Well, let me just cover the counties. It's Hood River, Wasco, Gilliam, Morrow, and Umatilla. So this is my concern. Okay, it was all. Now we're starting to pick off ports that don't want to be involved. And it's the west side. So the east side is affected by this. And this is what I wrote. And if you're, I mean, we can fix this, but we have 48 hours because the hearing was yesterday. I listened in on the hearing. Gilliam County is ranked 34th by population in the state of Oregon. Beginning in 1990, our tiny county saw big business come to town with the arrival of waste management. Wind energy companies and solar projects followed in more recent years. Big business has mixed in with our agricultural base. Gilliam County is no stranger to negotiating with big business. Several strategic investment program agreements have been successfully negotiated over the past several years with wind energy companies. SIP agreements have been of substantial benefit to our communities, citizens, and taxing districts countywide. I question why the -2 amendment redefined affected ports in a radical swing from the bill originally introduced. Should Eastern Oregon counties be treated differently than the rest of the state due to their geographic location? I do not believe they should. Please consider this. Treating Eastern Oregon counties differently by redefining affected port as located east of the westernmost dam on the Columbia River could cause companies seeking SIP agreements to go elsewhere, west of the westernmost dam on the Columbia River, because it is much easier to negotiate with fewer parties. Please make the playing field even for the counties adversely affected by this amendment. What do you think?
I like it.
Port, what do you think? I think it's great if you're at the table, but it now, I mean.
We even have statewide laws, you need to.
Yeah.
Which
It
is why
was good.
people are looking at the greater Idaho. I mean, that's exactly reasons why people get upset and.
It was the city of Hillsborough. And they basically said in the hearing that the Port of Portland doesn't do any economic development, so they need to not be bound to deal with them. I'm summarizing. Feel free to look at the hearing yourself. That's how I took it. And it just felt like we didn't know it was coming. This is why you have to watch so closely. And luckily, Morrow County, they wrote a letter too about it. Their summarization was neither action provides any reason why the counties need to be treated differently than the rest of the state. So I think that's the united message. So we're going to county college, we'll work on it between classes and get the letter to on the record if
So can we pin another letter? I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
change it or use the same one and put the whole county board on it.
Yeah, what we could do is just use this letter I'll let you look at it and then add your two names.
It sounds fine to me.
Great, okay.
So that's what I would think that we should all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want this to hurt. I mean, as soon as you start picking, then I just know from dealing with Avangrid that they're in business. I hope that they've looked not just at the county side or the port side, what makes it workable or attractive for a business to come to an area. And it is smooth. One thing is smooth negotiations. And yes, you need to make sure that you're covered. We have the port's needs, we have fire, ambulance, health, we have all the taxing district needs in mind when we negotiate these. But I think I know it's a lot easier to deal with fewer parties. And that was the only argument that I could really come up with. Is like, this is the real reason why. So,
Which I would think that it would be harder the more you get into the, for them to, because it's just, I'll just use the airport in Portland as an example. The airport built clear out away from everybody. And then they all start enclosing around it. And then they complain because it's noisy and, it's like,
yeah.
So,
okay.
I think rural Oregon has that advantage because, we're not gonna.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be great if we could all.
Okay, I'll send this home with one of you two and then just add their names and see if we can just get it re-out.
We just gotta get it in.
Yeah.
Just get it in and then we can sign it after the fact.
Okay.
Or he sign it or something.
Right. Okay, good. So I just wanted is that the way you want to do this? There's going to be times we can't wait for a meeting and we'll just have to get a message to you from through the office to just make sure that you I don't know how else it can be done, so. All right, but there aren't any other really, as far as today, really concerning bills, but this is when things get pushed in and,
They're halfway through right now.
yeah. But Eastern Oregon caucus calls are now every other week, so. Anything else? Nothing further, okay, meeting's adjourned.